So this is a cool morning. It's Saturday morning, and I kind of look forward to Saturday mornings because it's when I pay myself. Every Saturday morning, I pay myself. Okay, you ask how I do that. Well, I am very particular on keeping track of the numbers. Okay, so, and I've got a great relationship with Intercity State Bank. I've been with them for over 30 years. I've been good to them too. I've never missed a payment or anything on that order. Um, I've been a good customer of theirs over the years. They've treated me very well. One of the ways they've done that is I pay weekly. So, what does that do for me? It knocks that interest, the amount of interest that I pay on a commercial loan, down by quite a bit. And I'll just give you some rough numbers here in a second. But the other thing that it does is I make roughly 5 extra payments a month or a year. Excuse me on that. A year. Okay. And how I do that is there's roughly 5 months where you have 5 Fridays. So Intercity pulls from my account every Friday and for every one of my rental properties. Okay? So I'm going to quickly just give you a rough look at the numbers. So let's say I borrowed 100,000 at 5% over 20 years because it's a commercial loan. It's on a property. Excuse me, I'm about to sneeze. But so at the end of year one, I would have a balance of $97,012 and roughly 64 cents. At the end of year three, I would have a balance of $90,571.58. Of course, what is the amount of interest that I have paid on that loan over the life of that loan? Is $158,388.56 with the mortgage calculation program that I'm using. Okay, I've got two programs that come out pretty close, within a couple dollars either way. So now let's just say I couldn't quite get this to work out with the software that I have. So I make 5 extra payments a year, right? So let's say I make 5 extra full payments a year, just doing it, keeping my payment schedule monthly. Okay? So on that $100,000, if I did, and then punching it in, it would come out, of course, 5 extra payments on 12 months is roughly 2.4, every 2.4 months I'd be making an extra payment. Well, my software won't take that. So I rounded it up to 3. So actually I'm making even one less payment on this amount. And you kind of figure in your head where that goes. So I'm making 4 extra payments during the year, the full amount, and my payments at the end of year one, I'd be down to $94,322.68. Okay? Roughly, what, 2,600 difference from the balance up above. That's in 1 year. I can buy quite a bit with over $2,000 savings. Okay? At the end of 3 years, my balance is down to $82,081.77. Okay, yes, I did pay extra money in to get it there. All right. If you're thinking, well, it's either pay me now or pay me later, but here's where the numbers really start to look sweet. So that's only on the life of that 20-year loan. The interest that I would save is $22,425.65. Okay, I can put that toward a new vehicle. And my total payments would be, instead of 158,000, would be $135,962.91. Now, are you beginning to see why I do this? It knocks that mortgage payment down, and once you knock that mortgage payment down, right, your balance isn't as high, so you're not paying as much interest per month on your loan than if you just paid once a month. I mean, you're saving over the years, and you're actually saving within the month itself, because the balance changes between week 1, week 2, week 3. It's a little bit less, saving you pennies every time you do that, right? So then let's just say, and this is the way I do it, roughly, is weekly. So, and I couldn't get, once again, I apologize, I couldn't get my software to click on this correctly, but weekly is going to come out about the same, and here's why: because my payment on weekly is $152 and some cents. That automatically just gets pulled out. Now, I got the loan just like at the 4 extra payments. I got it paid off in 12 months or 12 years instead of 20 years. The numbers jibe pretty close here. And so instead of paying, if I didn't do weekly payments, at the end of a year, my balance would be $97,012.64, if you remember. Well, if I do it weekly, my balance at the end of year 1 is $94,364.99. Once again, saving me, here's what I save on interest by doing that over the 20 years. It's $22,543.86. And the reason it's a little bit more is, remember, we're only paying $152 on each payment versus the 600 and whatever was the total monthly payment at the beginning. So every one of my loans, real estate loans, have been set up that way, so I can knock that interest down. And I look at it this way, as a piggy bank, okay? And so I also have a spreadsheet. I have 2 of them, and I share it with my bank. My bank has access to it any point in time that they want to look at it, okay? It's a Google Sheets, and the first thing I do is I've got it set up where I've got going down the side the name of the tenant, okay? Then going across the top for my vertical are the months. So I keep track of, as the money comes in, I put the amount of the dollars that came in from tenant A, B, C, whatever. It totals it up at the end of the month, goes right down the line. I can, with Google Sheets, you just sum it, and you got your total. Then going across the bottom, I've got a total column for each month, which then summarizes at the end over to the right-hand side of the document. It gives me a yearly total that I've made up to that point in time. So every time I change a dollar amount, I've got a new dollar amount at the bottom for that column. I keep track of what every tenant has paid, and of course that comes in perfect for the end of the year IRS stuff, right? It's all right there. I've got what the tenant paid. Takes me a second to fill that part out. I got the total amount of money that we made for the year, and the bank knows the money's coming in. There's no issues here. The other thing that I do, too, like I said, I'm a stickler on this stuff, is I've got an Apple computer, right? And so I use what's called QuickBooks, okay? And so, there's different versions of whatever, but actually I use Checkbook Pro. And so I've got every LLC broken into a separate category on that in that quick or in that Checkbook Pro, and it gives me a total of what my expenses are broken down into the different categories that I need for at the end of the year type thing. So on a weekly basis, I know what I've spent, what I've had come in for income, and I've got a giggle because, you know, if I had a loan coming due back a while ago, and I told the guy, I said, we got to get going on this. And the banker, and he giggled. He said, Brian, he said, you're the last one we worry about. He says, you do. He said, we know exactly where you're at. He says, you know, you do a great job keeping track of everything. And he said, you're the last one that we worry about. We have people that come in, I can't believe this, but they have people that come in and they have no idea what the balance is on their mortgage. And they want to do, you know, a refi. And it's like, dude, you're upside down on this already. We can't give you any more money. You know, I can't imagine operating that way. I know exactly what every dollar is. So at the end of the week, I go on my Inner City State Bank website page. I pull up my mortgages on that same spreadsheet. I've got a separate tab where I put down what that balance is on that loan. That's every Saturday morning. So I've got property A, B, C, D going across in a line. I put in the new mortgage balance, and over on the right-hand side, you know, it sums it for a total, and it shows me how much my mortgage dropped from last Friday. And that's a way of me looking at that number and saying, okay, I put a lot of time into Unit B this week, and I didn't get anything for it. Well, not exactly true. I look at that number, the changes in the numbers for the month or the week, and I say, well, okay, I got paid $189. Let's just pull a number out of the air for this week, okay, for my efforts. That makes it a little bit easier going out there when it's 3 degrees outside and shoveling or snow blowing. I do very little of it now. I've got most of that farmed out, if you want to put it that way, or hired out. But it's a way every Saturday I can see how much, you know, I paid the mortgages down. And at the end of the year, I can go back and I can reflect. I've got a digital, week by week record of what my total mortgage was for that week. And so I can go back to January 1 and say, start at the year here, just real quickly. It's all on the spreadsheet. It's all right before me. So I've got 3 basic ways of keeping track of it. Okay? Is the income spreadsheet, where I have the tenant's name on it, and that totals it up by month. I have the Checkbook Pro, where I'm looking at, yes, I'm putting both income in and expenses into that. Okay? And then I've got my mortgage payment down schedule, and I've got those numbers. Now let me talk about that a little bit too, as far as with tenants go. Okay, and I do apologize for that light up above here. I haven't had time to finish my 3-season room that's above me here, and the ceiling here, and then put the lights in that I want in here. So I apologize for that. Yes, I know it makes me look divine, like I've got a halo on top of my head, but trust me, that's not, you know, I am in no way that tightly spiritually connected. Okay, so going back to what I was talking about. Okay, is doing that on a weekly basis, and what I have with the tenants is they pay me. I put it down in the check register, the number of the unit. Let's say it's 309 East Street LLC. So it's 309 East Street LLC. And I put the amount that they paid. Okay? So, first step goes into here, and it's in the register. So if I have any doubts, I can go back and look in my register. Okay? Then, of course, you have your bank statement. If you have any doubts, you can go on your bank statement and look at whether the tenant paid the amount or not. And then I have that spreadsheet. So I've got 3 to 4 ways that I double check to make sure that the rent has come in. Because I've had times where tenants have said they've paid, and it's like, well, okay, let's go back and let's take a look. And I can go through boom, boom, boom with them, and they know, and I tell them that actually when they rent too, is they know that I keep those numbers straight and they're not going to pull a fast one on me. I know there's management companies out there, they probably have more sophisticated things than I do, but this is for the smaller DIY, rental owner. And that has taken care of me very well over the years. Just wanted to share that with you. Paying weekly just makes a huge difference. And you have a couple more, you have 5 more payments in there. Okay? But it's not the full payment, remember, right? So instead of paying 6 whatever, if you paid it once, you're paying $152 for 4. It's figured on 4 weekly payments to come up to that number it would be if you were only making 1. And then the 5 months a year that you have 5 Fridays, you're making that extra $152 payment. So, it's huge. And then if I, you can use that money in numerous different ways down the road. I like to get mine paid down. I like to build up. I have never been one to be totally leveraged. At least that belief is I always want plenty of room in between to adjust for the markets. Right now, people are saying that the markets, the rental market or the property values are going down. I don't really see it with rentals right now because rentals are in such short supply. So, and there are very few being built. I don't see that property value in our area dropping. It is probably in some area, but I did go through it back in, once or twice over the 30 years I've owned properties. And, I always had plenty of room. It didn't affect me. I'm looking at, I've got to refinance here in March. A duplex. It'll be the first one that'll come due. I've run the numbers on it because I've got that value or that balance paid down a decent amount. I've got plenty of room to refinance. It'll be almost double of where I tied that in 3 years ago, basically. That's a whole nother discussion. 2 years ago, I walked into my banker's office and I said, inflation, interest rates are going up. And he looked at me and he said, maybe 0.25%, Brian. And I said, no. I said, they're going up. He said, I just got off the phone with a state coalition banking people. He said, we're projecting 0.25%. I said, I want everything tied in, locked in for the next 3 years. He said, he says, you've got one coming due next year, you got one coming due the following year. He said, he said, it's not going to be that big of a deal. I said, I want it in writing that you'll only raise my interest rate by 0.25%. They honored it because, as we know, it went up much more than 0.25%. And now this time around, this one won't be part of it in March, but I'm hoping the interest rates start to come down a little bit. And even if they don't, I've got plenty of room to breathe. And, it really won't affect me that much. So I wanted to share that with you. That's the number side of the business. I can walk into any bank in 10 minutes from now if I wanted to and say, here's my numbers. I understand my numbers. I understand where I'm making money, where I need to look at cutting some money back for next year. And, I can go from there. I hope you found this valuable in that if you're doing a month-to-month, I would really look for that local bank, even if you have to pay a little bit more percentage-wise, to get it to a weekly payment. That's my personal opinion on that. Please hit the like and share button. I know I don't do crazy things on my channel and have all these, really cool animated things going on and that type of thing. I just like it to be a discussion between you and I. Please hit that like and share button. Plus, I'm just getting going on this. I'm looking at the YouTube page trying to figure out how to really make this work, and so I'm a work in progress too on that, and I apologize for that end of it. Take care. Have a good day. Once again, Proden the Project Specialist logging out.